Hello, welcome back to Shouting into the Void. Did a quick hello because Liam has already ruined this introduction once, and we're not going to do it again.
I don't think I don't remember that.
No one will know. This is the weekly series where myself, Connor, and Liam, again, I think he's that way, but he could be either way. He could be above me at this point. Who knows? We go back and we watch Doctor Who episodes, specifically the New Who episodes, Modern Who, however you want to call it. I guess it can't really be called New Who now, considering it's been going on for 17 years at this point.
Yeah, it's catching up to Classic Who.
Yeah, it's just basically we reviewed Doctor Who from 2005. I think is probably the safest bet to do it.
The revived series.
The revived series, yes. And we have watched 4 whole seasons, and we're halfway through series 5 now with Matthew Smith, which I don't think he's ever been called Matthew Smith. That's horrible.
Never say that.
I would never say that again.
No.
Matt Smith and Steve Moffat, or in this.
No.
Yes, this is Series 5, Episode 7, Amy's Choice, which is obviously a Matt Smith episode, starring Karen Gillan and Arthur Darvill as Amy and Rory, and guest starring Toby Jones as the Dream Lord. This episode sees our TARDIS team trapped in a dream, one single dream.
It takes place entirely in the TARDIS, if you think
it does. Yeah, in theory, it does. In theory, it does take place in
reality.
This is a bottle episode. Yes, they're in a dream. They're in a dream in a dream. They need to get out of the dream because maybe they'll die. Or maybe it turns out they'll just be asleep for a while, I guess. Who knows? Either way, obviously, because there's more episodes, they get out of the dream and they get out of the other dream, and then it's all fine. Obviously, stuff happens between then, and we will discuss that. What did you think of the episode overall?
This might be my favourite episode of the series so far.
Interesting. I did also have quite an enjoyable time with this one.
Yes, this is definitely, I think, at least on par with them for me. It's a well-regarded one anyway. When people discuss Series 5, this is one that's talked about, I think, quite fondly. And I definitely see why. Right from the off, from our very long cold open, our 5-minute cold open. I remember like the shot of when this is the titles roll, but I'm like, oh, they still have to establish the other dream, yeah? I'm like, God, this starts really just, but it's fun. But yeah, right from setting that up, I'm like, yes, I'm fully in. I'm fully on board. I'm ready for this. And then they explore it a bit more, and then about 10 minutes in, Dream Lord shows up, and then it all kicks off and ramps up from there. And yeah, a really good kind of character study. I think this one is definitely more so about the characters than the dreams, because they're literally not real. They're not that important in the grand scheme of things. It's just representing Amy's Choice, aptly named. Well done.
Whoa.
Took them ages to come up with that one, but yeah, I had an absolute blast with this one. I think performances were great. I don't want to say too much about. I'll literally get back to this my positives then, but I should say that. But yeah, just from start to finish, I was fully in, fully on board. Some aspects of it I didn't really remember. I was like the middle portions and stuff, as they're going back and forth. Like, how much time do we spend in each one? I can't remember. Like everything, a lot funnier than I remember it being, which I enjoyed. That could be an additional positive because I don't think that's one of my 3. I may have forgotten.
Nice.
I did it in a rush, but yeah, I had an absolute blast. I think it's really cool. I loved how they kind of explored the ever-changing character dynamic of this trio. An interesting concept, interesting villain, as we will talk about in more detail. But yeah, definitely one of the best entries in Series 5 thus far.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I think for me, I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. As soon as the Dream Lord's introduced, I think for me that's where the episode really kicks on and it really goes up a gear, and that's where I really started to get involved. Obviously, there's a lot of setting the scene before that, which is fine. But as soon as Toby Jones appears, I'm like, I'm all in. Everything in this is great. The hero villain dynamic in this, the companions dynamic, the sort of morals they've got to go through, the arguments for each, all of the sort of what is actually happening is excellent. And I mean, it says a lot that I'll probably come up with a third negative as we go because
I've pulled negatives out my ass this week.
Yeah, as more things come up, I'll be like,
I only had one, and it's kind of a concern I could get over. So the rest I've just been like, I need to think of something. I actually looked up reviews to see if anyone had
Nice.
anything negative to say to kind of inspire me. But...
So I have two, and we'll see if I manage to pull a third out of thin air as we go. But you know, it was very good. I had a lot of fun, and it was a bit funnier. Well, and it was a bit funnier than I thought it was going to be as well. You know, there's a couple of lines in there that we'll come on to that was just sort of, that's hilarious. I completely forgot that was there. Even, you know, Rory's terrible ponytail and hair. I was like, oh god, you know, it's a dream when that's the haircut you've got.
I know.
But yes, well, as we sort of alluded to, we do have 3 positives and 3 negatives ish to go through. I'll kick us off with the positives this week, and my first one is Toby Jones as the Dream Lord.
Same.
I mean, you can tell he's a real actor. You know, like he's a big actor. You know, I think his
presence is
instant.
And
it's strange because when you think of big actors that have been in Doctor Who, you don't think of him. He's not the first name that sort of jumps out, but when you see him and you see what he has been in and what he is acting, he's probably arguably one of the biggest names in British acting, and yet he's in this sort of middle of the season episode of Doctor Who that probably wasn't, you know, highly promoted or highly regarded when it sort of came out. And it's like, this is probably the definition of an underrated episode, at least for me, because I've not seen many people talk about it. I don't think about it as much. If I'm thinking of episodes from Matt Smith's era, this isn't one that immediately jumps out. But I think if it wasn't him as the Dream Lord, I think it wouldn't have worked as well. I mean,
you need someone to really carry that part.
Yeah, you need someone.
I'm sure there are lots of people who could have done it and done it very well, but that is Toby Jones's role. Yeah,
you need that charisma and that kind of creepy aspect.
Yeah,
the creepy aspect that he brings in. It's like, oh god, with like the Spanish like the shirt, the sofa. It's like, oh no, thank you. You know, and there's they could have played it cheap and just had Matt Smith be playing an evil version of himself, and that could have been the whole thing. But the fact that they sort of cast a well-known actor in this role and basically probably said, yeah, have fun with it. You need to be an evil version of the Doctor. Just go wild, and they pretty much just let him run with it. And I think he does a very good job. It's a very good performance. It's entertaining and creepy. It's very Master-esque, which, you know, is effectively the Master is the, you know, the opposite, the evil Doctor. But you know, they Moffat doesn't want to bring the Master in this soon into series 5 when he's only been in series.
Save him for 12.
Yeah. Yes, literally. Then you can have 2. It's fine at that point. But yeah, I think he's excellent in this. He's by far the standout. And he works really well opposite Matt Smith as well. You know, this is, you know, Matt Smith's an actor that's fairly new to acting. You know, doesn't necessarily have the acting chops or history that Toby Jones have. Yeah, I think they're level pegging on this throughout. And you know, I can only imagine what it would have been like to have worked alongside him. Excellent throughout. So fantastic. What did you think of him?
Yeah, I agree with basically everything you said right from the off. His like presence and everything. You just, when he's in the frame, you're watching him basically. I think, and just like the simple idea, like he's wearing the same outfit as the Doctor, but it still feels so completely different with what he does with it. But different. The bow ties are
colours.
Brighter.
Oh. Where are we going to see that again? Maybe in Flux and 10 years' time.
Definitely not. But yeah, I like that he could still do something a bit different with it, because, you know, it is a different side to the Doctor, to what we've gotten glimpses of that, obviously, but this is like he's a fully turned to the dark side version of the Doctor. And I really enjoyed that, the gleeful nature with that. You know, the universe, if the Doctor had grown up and turned evil, you know, the universe would have been in the shitter. So it's kind of, you think of like, oh God, what would Toby Jones do to the universe if he was released right now? So yeah, I just love what he kind of brings to it. Him and Matt Smith, I think they bounce off each other really, really nicely, considering they're kind of technically playing the same character, but they're also not. You know, I like that there's still kind of that difference between them. He has some really funny lines. I like the pun he makes in The Butchers about something to do with like steak, and that stakes are high or something like
that. We've got lots at stake. Lots at stake or something in it. It's like, get it, lots at stake.
I'm like, yes, I want you to.
There's like, oh, I can't watch. It's like they corner him, and the thing is, that's excellent stuff.
I just love that he's clearly just having a blast playing it. You know, and like a one-off kind of original-esque villain in a way, even though it's the one character who's been in every episode of Doctor Who, technically. Well, actually, no, that's not true because William Hartnell wasn't in one. But apart from that, but yeah, you can just tell he's having a blast with it, and I think that's what makes him so fun to watch. I just think the idea of the Dream Lord as a character is really interesting anyway. You know, not something you'd want them to do all the time. So I like this kind of just this one-off idea, and yeah, just this dark reflection of the Doctor. I like how they kind of handle his introduction, him just toying between all the different worlds. You know, the reveal of him being this dark reflection of the Doctor. And of course, you know, he can only make dreams because he's a Dream Lord. Of course, you know, they're both dreams, and like, I felt like such a Coco the Cloud when I first watched this. Of course, then.
Of course.
Yeah. They played me like a damn fiddle, but yeah, he's just such a great villain, and I really enjoyed what Toby Jones brought to it.
Yeah, that's fair. I think he plays into my second positive as well, which is just the general story around this one, the general plot.
That's my second one.
Oh God, we're gonna fly through this week.
It's a short one, and there's like barely any fun facts this week.
Look at that! God.
Nice short episode this week.
This always happens when we agree on the episodes; they're always short ones.
That's true.
But yeah, I think, you know, from just the whole introduction to, you know, where it's Amy's pregnant and baking cakes, you're like, hang on a second, they were just in Venice, and I was like, cake batter. I'll eat that. Thank you. Yeah, and you know, from that you're already like, hang on a minute, this is a bit strange. What's going on? And then, you know, the introduction of like the threat of one of these is real, one of these is fake, and then the additional threat of, oh, by the way, you will die in one of these or both of them if you don't make your mind up quick about which one's real, and if you pick wrong, you're going to die anyway. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the sort of the emphasis it put on Amy. I think this is, you know, we sort of mentioned it last week, this is finally where Amy's sort of mini arc of doctoral Rory sort of ends. She's now committed to Rory, and I think this episode sort of cements that by the end, obviously, which is good. It kind of gets that out of the way now, so we won't really be dealing with it too much in the future, which is great. And obviously that plays into the story as well, with both Rory thinking which one's real and the Doctor thinking which one's real, and then Amy thinking both are real, or wanting both to be real at least. And then obviously the realization at the end that, hang on a minute, if Rory's dead, then I don't want to be in the reality that he's dead in. You know, let's just, if there's a chance he'll be alive, if we kill ourselves, then let's go for it. You know, I think it is really good. It is a nice, it's in effect, as weird as it is, it's a romance story. This one, and it's told in a very nice, unique sci-fi way, and I think that's really, really good for the characters moving forward, because it puts them all in a sort of a nice level place until Rory dies in 2 episodes time, and everyone forgets for 3 episodes.
See,
but it's fine. Kind of forgets the wedding ring and stuff, you know. A little bit. She forgets a little bit. Yeah. We'll come on to that. But yeah, I did really like this story. It was great. Yeah. So what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, everything you said again. Just what a concept. I think it's really, you know, really fun. Again, very unique. Not something you could probably really do in this way again. Certainly not with the same twist and everything. It's like, well, we've seen this before. And I know Doctor Who does the same story with people again and again and again. You know, Daleks have invaded God knows how many times.
Every story has already been told.
Every story has already been told, especially because now this one's been told. But you know, it is what it is. And yeah, I love the idea of it, like choosing between the 2 dreams, and it really can suck the audience in, and you know, they can actually try and work things out as well. And then once you have watched it once, you can watch it again knowing the twist and try and like spot different things out, which I think can be quite a fun thing as well. But yeah, I love the idea behind it. I think it, you know, it's very unique, but also it feels the appropriate time to tell a story like this in terms of the season as a whole, because we kind of reach the crux of like love triangle-esque that's going on, and yeah, really putting the spotlight on that and seeing Amy kind of finally settle down and make a choice. You know, there's no cracks in time, there's no silence, there's none of that in this one. It's just let's deal with the characters for a minute, take a breather there, and get that wrapped up, and then we can jump back into some plot stuff again, which I really enjoyed. And yeah, it feels like the right time in the series, you know, at the midway point to do it. Really unique idea, and yeah, I've always very much enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they could have had the chance to shoehorn in the silence when they were talking about the aliens and why they left to Earth. I thought they were going to go that route when I first heard them like try and talk about it.
Yeah, it's like, is this going to be a time war thing or a sciencey thing?
I thought that. But no, it's just a point of being like, hey, this is a generic alien invasion, you know, because it's a dream. You're like, oh, or is it real? Because they have all the
details can be fuzzy because it's a dream.
Yeah.
You can get away with anything in this episode because it's a dream. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Oh, whoops. Never mind. Whoopsie. I killed the old lady. Whoopsie. But yeah. Obviously, I agree because we have the same thing. Yes. My sort of final main positive, as sort of mentioned before, is the humor in the episode. How sort of funny it can be at times.
We are 3 for 3, my friend.
Yay!
I think that's the first time ever.
Woohoo! I think so. I don't. If it happens very rarely. If it's happened before.
Yeah.
Obviously, we start with you've swallowed a planet, where he's like, you're huge, and then right there's like, are you pregnant? It's like, oh my god.
You messaged me that. It's like, I hope he's watching Doctor Who at the beginning. I was like, what's that about? I had no context. I was like, I'm pretty sure he says that.
He does it right at the start. And then obviously the whole, we're in Upper Ledworth. Shut up. It's just you just couldn't get in the same town, could you?
It's a dream. It's
deal with it. There's now a castle in Upper Ledworth, apparently. Fine.
It's a dream. It's fine.
You know, and then there's towards the end when they're fighting off the old people. It's like, he picks up. Well, I used to take a sweet from his sweet shop, and he picks up. I'll say thank you. And so, oh, Rory, you're too wholesome for this world.
Yeah. Come on, Tubbs.
And then even though when they're getting back in the thing, it's like, I can't hear. Whacker.
Yeah. She's so Scottish, like whacker.
I was like, oh, God's sake. There are so many like good lines in this one that are delivered well. Obviously, Toby Jones has a couple of good lines and sort of menacing lines with some of his stuff, you know, whether that's the pun in the butchers or him pretending to hide because in all that way he's coming on to Amy a bit, I guess. A number of things where it's like, I've seen your dreams, and then you know there's all sorts of, there's a penis joke at one point naturally, because why not? And yeah, so I just think it was a lot funnier for what I thought it was going to be. And again, considering it's quite a emotional story, or at least it's got a sort of a very emotional moment in it towards the end. It's very well done. I think sometimes Doctor Who doesn't get the balance right between humor and serious moments, but I think it does very well this week. But yeah, what did you think about the humor?
I liked it, funnily enough. I thought it was good. Yeah, again, everything you said. Some really just great writing in general, I think. The writer of this actually wrote Men Behaving Badly, which is a pretty popular sitcom over here. So he does write comedy normally, so I think it was a very specific choice to get him to write this episode, because I think this is the only episode Doctor he's written as far as I'm aware. So what a record he has. But yeah, I loved so many of the lines. I think were just so witty anyway. Really well performed. Even the physical comedy when Amy and Rory are kissing at the end and the Doctor just like claps in the background. Makes me laugh every time. Just something simple as that. I'm like, I love 11. But yeah, Toby Jones has some really great delivery, just like the deadpan humor, even the jokes that you say, you're clearly setting up to take the piss out of Rory here, but then it still makes you laugh. It still works. It's still funny, and it's still delivered really well. Rory cutting off the ponytail, and Amy's like, just started to like it. All of that, and then like you said, I think it's very well balanced. The second Rory dies, they drop the humor again until it's all resolved at the end. And then it kind of comes back into play. So I think it was appropriately used with that. Because you don't really want a funny resolution when that's just happened, because I'm like, you need to play this as if he might actually be dead here. So you can't have them really cracking jokes there in a moment like that. So I'm glad that they didn't go down that route. So yeah, I really enjoyed how funny it was, and I do think it stands out more so in this one because I've forgotten how funny this episode was. So I think a lot of the humour in Doctor Who is pretty good anyway, but I think this one really stands out because obviously it comes from a comedic writer. It's his specialty anyway. But yeah, it's very well balanced.
Yep, I think that's fair. I think, even you can tell how well it's sort of balanced when, you've got the whole "did I not say thank you?" and then the whole "oh, the kids are dead."
Yeah.
All those kids have been
Oh,
murdered.
shit.
They're all dust. They all got Thanos snapped.
Yeah.
Like a Rory at the end.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's all fair. I've a couple of my other positives were sort of, I think the set design for the snowy TARDIS is great. The way they just sort of blanket that and it looks like it's frozen.
Yeah.
And when they're getting colder and colder, you can feel the cold off the screen. You can be like, oh, that is cold.
I like where it's kind of snowing in the Ledworthy bits just as it's about to switch back. That's a nice little detail as well.
Yeah. Did they mean to do that? Or was it just the weather?
Was it just UK weather?
Just coincidence. Cold? Yeah. Also, it's quite tense throughout, which I quite enjoyed. A nice tense episode. Again, going back to The Beast Below, where it felt like there were no stakes whatsoever. This is another one where it's like all of these episodes have had stakes. Why couldn't you put stakes in The Beast Below?
I mean, it has a butcher's. Come on, of course it has stakes.
It literally has stakes. Prime stakes. And the dynamics between all the characters as well. Again, whether that's Amy and Rory, Amy and the Doctor, Doctor and Dreamlord, Doctor and Rory, Dreamlord and Rory, I think they all work really well together. And it is effectively a story of 4 characters. If you take out the old people,
3
four actors effectively in this, and I think they all work really well together. So have you got any other positive you want to hit on?
Just the main trio, the 3 of them. It's one of my favorite TARDIS teams. I think the 11, Amy, and Rory. And yeah, I think you can really tell the actors just get on, all bouncing off each other. Whether it's like some of the more serious scenes, like when Amy's like, "What's the point of you?" I'm like, "Oh shit," just casually driving off in a van together to kill yourselves. Lovely. It would have been funny. It needs to be an edit now where there's that scene and it's just Peter Capaldi and Amy in the TARDIS. That'd be funny. But yeah, those serious moments work really well, and then the funny moments I think also just as fun. I just like watching the 3 of them interact when they were like sat awkward on the bench and the Doctor's like, bench. What would they think of next? All of that, I could just watch those 3 muck around in the TARDIS console room for 45 minutes. And yeah, they're just great together. I really enjoyed that trio in this one, especially because their core relationship is kind of what this episode's about. So it makes sense that it has the chance to shine, and I think it very much does.
Yeah, that's fair. So we'll go on to negatives now, and sort of even mine are kind of the same one. But I'll start with sort of my one. I'm not a big fan of them waking up and be like, "Oh, this is also a dream." I'm like, "Oh," because it also feels very quick, that resolution. They like wake up and it's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, this is a dream. I'm going to kill us in this one as well." It's like, hang on a minute. When did you have time to think this through? I know, I know if they explain it, but it's like, oh, we've got 5 episodes.
It needed more room to breathe, I think, that scene.
Yeah, and sort of that. I'm like, okay, like you don't necessarily need that. You could just have it as, oh, we've done it, we've defeated him, we're done, kind of thing. I think it just sort of pads the episode out a bit more. It's not like a, oh my god, that's the worst thing ever, because I can deal with it and it makes sense that they're both dreams. But I just think it's just very, yay, we've done it, we're back to this one. Now we're going to kill ourselves again because this is also a dream. BRB, and then it does it again. It's like, oh, okay. So yeah, I think it just needs a little bit more time for that one. And again, we'll come on to another issue in a bit. But yeah, that's sort of my first positive. And again, I've only got the 2 this week, so it was a big struggle.
Yeah.
But what is your first negative?
Yeah, well, this is the second one I came up with that kind of ties into your one a bit. So I do wish the ending had a bit more punch in terms of like the resolution to it. So I think that needed more room to breathe, and it does that. And I mean, I get the psychic pollen kind of explanation for it, but I still kind of wish, I don't know, I wish there was more to it or something. Yeah. I don't know. But also the point is that there shouldn't be more to it than that, because it's dreams and it's all silly, and it's kind of like spoilers for Buffy. There's an episode in Buffy season 4 called Fear Itself, and there's this demon that makes everyone see shockingly their greatest fears and stuff, and then at the end, when they actually like summon this demon out, it's about that small, and Buffy just goes, because your fears are like much bigger in your own head than they actually are. It's kind of that metaphor. So it's that kind of similar thing, I think, but also I don't know, I wish there was just like or maybe that's just coming from rewatching it and just knowing that's what it is. Maybe maybe at the time I was like, yeah, makes sense. But yeah, I think just because they really kind of hit you with all the feels in that last 10 minutes building up to everything after Rory dies. I do wish maybe that could have landed a bit stronger to really kind of get it through the finish line as strong as it was for the entire run, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, fine that the pollen's there, but I think it just needed a bit more of a, how did that get there? I know they're like, oh, we picked it up and blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, I guess, but it feels very much like we need a MacGuffin here to explain why this all happened. This is it, but fine, I can accept it. My sort of second negative, again, it's just more of an annoyance, is I don't really care for the cold star dream. I think that's the weaker of the two storyline dreams.
Fair. They definitely spend more time on the Leadworth one, I think, for obvious reasons.
And
there's not much to it when it's just a star, is it?
Yeah, it's more the Leadworth one's more enjoyable. I think the Cold Star one is just a case of, oh, whoops, it's cold, better get warm. Every time they come back, it's like, oh, it's a bit colder, better get warmer again. And then they discuss what they just did, and then they go back again. And it's the only time it's good is when Amy's left behind, and there's a bit more of
when the Dreamlord's there.
So it's exactly.
Interesting, yeah.
And I think that's more interesting then. But again, it's a minuscule thing. They just needed it to be something that was another threat, and they thought they're not going to be here this much. Let's just do this. And it's fine because it could be realistic, as the Doctor sort of says. There could be a star that burns cold. That could be a thing that's real. Loads of things happen. There's loads of old ladies with aliens in their mouths in the other one. So why not a cold star? So I just think it was just a bit bland. Although the set dressing is nice when it's all like cold and frozen over. It's just a bit boring at times. But we're not there long enough for me to be like, oh, it really dragged the episode.
Yeah,
because
it's not like
one
really
minutes,
hot the pacing much. Yeah.
No. That's it for my negatives. What else you got?
Nice. So my main one that I came up with, and this is the only thing that I'm a bit like on really, because I can deal with everything else. I don't know. It's a bit icky, I think, that Amy's willing to kill herself when she's pregnant, and it's just not even remotely addressed.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it. It's a bit like I get, like, again, kids' TV show. You probably aren't going to bring that up, and she's just so adamant and convinced, that it's a dream.
Brought
and
up
it turns
ever
out
again that she was pregnant in that dream.
Yeah, and it does turn out like that was a dream, so it's fine. But I don't know. Maybe that's just because of recent events in real world has made me think, and that's just been on my mind, and maybe that's why I've been a bit like ugh by it this time. So maybe it's just a bit unlucky, really, on the episode's part. But I don't know. I think that probably could have been handled a bit more tastefully in hindsight. But of course, it's just you innocently write things sometimes, and they don't translate very well on screen. It happens in basically everything. Everyone's got a scene in something. I think that terribly offends them for whatever reason, whether or not it's even justifiable or whatever. But that one, it just kind of, I don't know, gave me a bit of an ick factor watching it this time around. I don't know if I've ever considered it before, but now I'm like, just maybe one throwaway line, but again, what would you say? That this kind of a loser situation, but it did kind of a bit like me. So.
Yeah, I think the way you could maybe play it is a bit more of maybe they're just trying to get pregnant rather than being actually pregnant.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah,
and then that way it could also allude to obviously the future of her not being able to have kids after having River and all that kind of thing. It would allude to, oh, we've been trying for ages, and then it kind of hints towards other reasons. But especially because it's not necessarily the only real moment it comes into play is when she does the fake out, and then when she might actually begin, but then it's just forgotten. As soon as Rory dies, it's forgotten. It's like, oh, never mind.
She could have just snapped at the Doctor without having to fake going into labour, being like, this is my real life, you son of a bitch, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
She didn't need to be pregnant, I guess, is the point.
Yeah. But comedy, I guess.
Yeah, comedy, and those lines are very funny. So.
Yeah.
And also, Count Gillen had an absolute blast with the baby lump, as we will discuss.
Yes. I have seen.
I wouldn't want to take that from them.
No. Have you got any other sort of negative points?
Not really. I guess I wonder. Again, this isn't really the episode's fault, but if we rewatch this all the time, it probably isn't. Again, with knowing the twists, and you keep watching it regularly, watching it. Maybe it's not really going to land as hard because you just like, I know what's coming. It's fun the first few times afterwards because you can kind of pick up on some clues or whatever and try and spot the details and stuff. But maybe long-term people who watch this quite often, maybe it's not going to ultimately hit the same. But again, that can probably be said for every single episode of Doctor Who.
Yeah,
with a plot twist, which is basically
media,
every single episode of Doctor Who. Yeah, so, I, as I said, pulled them out my arse. The only thing that kind of really bothered me was the whole baby thing. And so that's that.
Fair enough. I'm trying to think of a third one for me, but I just don't think I can.
Nothing left.
I think. I guess if I'm going to pick holes, I think the one thing I sort of went, oh, that's a bit much, is Amy saying to Rory that you're always so insecure. I'm like, you don't say that to someone. Like even if it's true, you don't
it's very
say
much
that
true.
to someone.
Because whenever they explore this whole thing now with like, does Amy still have a thing for the Doctor? It's very much Rory's point of view from now on, because he's insecure about it, rather than Amy being like, oh yeah, this is definitely I have a hot spot.
Yeah, and it's it's just a bit, other than that, I think and again that's me just picking through my notes and seeing if there's anything else, and to be honest, I don't think there is. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why the Doctor saves some people if they're under the impression that was the dream. In the movie,
that's true.
He just stops and saves them. I'm like, mate, don't you know this?
But
one's
just
the
in
dream?
case it's not, they're going to be the only ones who would die.
I mean, I like that he's still the Doctor, even in the dream. He's still trying to save people, but at the same time, like, come on, you didn't do anything for that postman.
Poor postman.
The poor postman.
I suppose the Doctor maybe had his doubts. Like Amy was the one who was like, "We're doing this. I'm sure this is the dream." So maybe he's like, "Damage control, just in case."
Just when
I go to hell.
Yeah. Look, I saved these 5 people.
I saved these 5 people.
Speaking of them killing themselves, I don't think crashing into that wall would have killed them. I don't think they're going fast enough. I don't think that wall would have been bad enough. I mean, that's it. I mean, I'm taking the assumption that the Dream Lord has accepted the decision that they want to die in that one.
Like when they just stop attacking, don't they? They just want to do it.
Yeah. I assume that's what it is. But I always think you wouldn't die crashing into that wall. It would,
you'd be severely maimed.
Yeah. You'd probably get a broken arm. Maybe
your life would never be the same again.
Yeah. Also, Amy had never told Rory that she loved him. Is that the implication I get from that? Like, that's bad.
Yeah.
Surely. I mean, I might have to go back and watch the ones they're in and see if it does get mentioned or not. But from what I can remember, she's probably right. And in which case,
probably
that's
right.
very bad.
This is like the proper turning point, isn't it? This one. She realizes what life would be like without him. So
yeah, and then gets to experience life without him in a couple of episodes.
Oh heck. But she doesn't know that. So
no, that's true. Also. Again, nipping back to the positives, the Doctor blows up the TARDIS, which I think is some maybe unintentional foreshadowing, but some nice foreshadowing either way.
Yes.
Whether it's meant to.
One of the fun facts on the Doctor Who wiki was like, this is the first episode of Series 5 to not have any ties to the finale or the cracks or the silence. However, the Doctor does blow up the TARDIS, which could foreshadow the events of the finale.
Yeah.
So and
exactly.
There's no confirmation like it was intentional or not.
We will never know, but
we'll never know unless we get Stephen Moffat's writer's tale.
Yeah,
but
I mean, he could have just gone, "Yep, I'm flying us into the sun," and then that'd be it. But the fact that they say I'm blowing it up, makes me think that maybe they thought about it. But
maybe, especially because we literally get the exploded TARDIS reveal in 2 episodes' time. So
yes, with the
it probably was very much on their minds, but who can say?
Obviously, when the Doctor reaches into the crack,
I think he probably blew it up because it's probably easier to convey. It's CGI the TARDIS flying into the sun. Yeah,
it's easier to say I'm blowing us up and then fade to black, I guess, than anything else.
White or
I think it's white. I can't remember. Fade to a color and then return again.
Actually, black is a shade.
Oh, sorry.
People are the worst.
That's it. That's it for my negatives. Have you got any other ones?
I do not know.
No. All right. Well, before we rate the episode, we will go on to your fun facts.
Oh, lovely. That's nice.
Oh.
Yeah, there aren't that many. I was quite surprised there weren't as many. But a decent chunk. You'll be surprised and rocked to your core to know that the working title of this episode was The Dream Lord. I wonder where they came up with that one. But
it's too close to Dreamland. That's why they.
They had to change it to stop any confusion.
Yeah.
Of course. That's fine. And then this is the first story of Series 5 to have no mention of the cracks, signs, or foreshadowing the finale in any way. But there's also potentially blowing the tires. But I don't know if that was intentional or not. The name of the care home, Sarn Residential, is a reference to the planet Sarn, the setting of the 5th Doctor story Planet of Fire. Sarn is also the name of a character in 7th Doctor story Time in the Run. So there you go. Nice. It's all connected.
Sure. Yeah.
It's the multiverse of madness. This is the first episode since Rose to feature a companion's name in the title. So, been a while. Been a long while.
What? Oh, right. I was like, wait a minute. What? I was thinking of the credits. I was like, they never do as so and so. The title. I was like, hang on a minute. What a mistake I made.
Wrong. Are you telling the Doctor Who wiki that it's wrong?
Oh, yes, I am. Who would have guessed?
Oh dear. This episode is a rare occurrence of the 11th Doctor wearing both of his original outfit variations in the same episode. He wears the blue version in Upper Leavenworth and the red version in the TARDIS scenes.
Whoa!
There you go. Whoa!
They just forgot the outfits. They had to get the other one. Like, oh shit, we left it in Leadworth.
Oh,
gotta use
the
this
continuity. Oh god. Yeah, probably.
What happened? Yeah.
Karen Gillan stated that filming with the latex prosthetic baby bump was her favourite thing about filming Series 5, and I think I'd have a blast with that as well. Yeah,
that's understandable.
The Echnodeans were inspired by writer Simon's Nye childhood fear of old people. That's
an understandable childhood fear, let's be honest.
Yeah. I'm scared of old people now. I'm scared of young people as well.
I'm scared of people
my age. I just don't want to touch people.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, but there is also only one prop for the plank of wood that Rory uses to yeet Mrs. Hamill. Luckily, all of the necessary shots of it were filmed before Arthur Darvill accidentally broke it.
Yay.
So,
yay. It's not like they could just go and get another plank of wood.
And they need one that could break into pieces over the stunt double, so it doesn't actually hurt them. Oh, speaking of stunt doubles, I loved the very obviously male stunt double when the woman rolls off the roof.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, so good.
I can't believe they just didn't use old people for that.
I know,
God, where's the commitment to the craft?
Been a criminal with it, don't they?
Yeah.
Not now, but back then.
Well, I mean.
Well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Spoilers. And then finally, Simon Nye, again, the writer, attended read-throughs of earlier episodes in the production to get a feel for the Doctor and Amy's character to aid him in writing the script, because obviously he'd never written for Doctor Who before. He hadn't seen Matt Smith and Karen Gillan in action. So that's a fun bit of research as well that he was allowed to do.
Fair enough. Lovely. Is that it? We done?
Bye.
Oh.
Yeah.
Lovely. They were short this week. Well, either way, still fun facts, which is the main thing.
We didn't have much to really say either, so the fun facts just reflected it.
Ridiculous, isn't it? But just because we didn't have much to say doesn't mean it was bad, and I'm sure
it means the opposite.
In our ratings, what are you giving it out of 10?
2. No, I'd give it a 9.5.
Nice. I think I will give it a 9. I think that's the fairest score. You know, the fact that I can't come up with 3 negatives, warrants more than an 8 at the very least.
So that's a type of angels.
I know. Well, you never know. We will see. But I guess it's also
have seen.
It's also enjoyableness, enjoyability.
Enjoyness sounds like a disease, doesn't it?
How much I enjoyed it. Yeah. I think this is a funner episode.
Compared it's funner to rewatch.
Angel ones.
Yeah. For sure.
But as you sort of mentioned, if I was to watch this again next week, would I have the same sort of impact? Maybe not, but
stay tuned for our brand new series. We watch
rewatch
every week for 10 weeks and we'll see how we feel about it by the end.
Could you imagine?
When we catch up, we just start all over again.
Yeah, just with Amy's choice.
When we catch up in 2027.
Oh, you never know. That's swiftly approaching.
Oh, God.
But yeah, I think that's it for this week. I've completely forgotten what the title is for next week. Is it Hungry Earth?
The Hungry Earth, yes.
And then it's
Cold Blood.
That's it. I knew it was cold, and I was like, "What? It's not Cold War. That's not yet."
That's the Ice Warrior one.
Yeah. Hungry Earth is next. It's our second two-parter of the series. It sees the Silurians return to Doctor Who, the first appearance since the 1900s. I'm not wrong there.
1983. Warriors of the Deep.
I would take your word for it because
it's a very bad story.
It's so we will see how it goes because who knows. I did just watch the classic Who, I think, when they first appeared with John Pertwee, and I was like, this is basically the Hungry Earth. The Hungry Earth is just a repeat of this.
It's the same story for people who haven't seen the classic series, basically.
So I may have damaged myself. I may have damaged myself watching.
As soon as you said you're watching it, I was like, oh dear.
Yeah. So
but that's not
I enjoyed
this
it. No. Oh well, I mean, it might be because I guess now that I've seen it, I could be like, it just copies the classic Who episode of but
like
we'll see. Yeah, they appear in Wales. What a twist! Doctor Who in Wales. Oh,
in
unbelievable!
2020.
Oh no!
Famously good year, 2020.
Early 2020. It was January 2020 when this
yeah,
happened.
It must have been, yeah, for sure. It looks very
definitely wasn't post March.
Yeah, Silurians had the right idea, just being underground. Little did they know.
Yeah,
this story was so ahead of its time.
They're like, oh, we'll actually stay hidden. We'll isolate ourselves. It's fine. We will give you some hands, face, space, and we will leave you alone.
Yes.
But yes, what do you remember about this? Well, I guess the first part and sort of what are you expecting from it?
I remember enjoying this story a lot. It's written by a Mr. Chris Chibnall, who I don't know if you've heard of him in regards to Doctor Who. I don't know if he goes on to do anything else in the future. Probably not.
I think he makes some like police drama for ITV, but that's about it.
I know he considered using the Sea Devils in the story, not the Silurians, but he'll never bring them back.
It wouldn't have made a difference, except it would have been set in the sea, not the land. Yeah. I'm sure
they could still use it. It's just set in Cardiff Bay.
Yeah.
They just walk out of the Cardiff Bay.
Just saying a lake, and that's it.
But yes, I remember enjoying it. Again, I don't remember like exact details about too much of the story. I think I remember the mum of that little boy driving me fucking insane.
Yeah,
I think she's gonna be my
next humans in this story. I think are like the
I think she's the only one I don't like. I think because we don't really see much of the dad. I don't mind the little child.
No, I
the
think,
older guy and Nazreen, who I quite like.
Yeah, I think in the first episode, at least, most of the humans are terrible people, but in the second one, they get a bit better, except for the mum.
Except for mum, she is infuriating. She's probably my least favorite Series 5 character, I imagine. But maybe I'll change.
Perfectly understandable, to be fair.
But yeah, I just I think her name's Ambrose as well. It's just like been seared into my brain. I think called Ambrose. Either way, so there's that. Look forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing how they reintroduce a classic villain we haven't seen in the new series prior. It certainly wasn't in the very last new episode of Doctor Who. They did that. Certainly not. Basically the same villain as well. But I am excited to see how it stands out, especially considering it is a part 1 of 2. Time of Angels was an excellent part 1. I wonder if this holds up to any regard. I don't know if it's going to be like a firm favorite. Like I remember enjoying it, but it's never one that I'd rush to rewatch normally. Especially because I used to be terrified of when Amy gets sucked into the ground. I'm like, that's absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see how like they reintroduce things. I feel like they do hold off on the Silurians like most of the episode until like that one they capture shows up. So there's that. I also think the cliffhanger is quite shit. So I'll see how I feel about that.
Yeah, I can't remember the cliffhanger.
Yeah, it's just is it? Actually, no, I won't spoil it. You can discover it for yourself. I don't want to pre-warn you or like give you any ideas beforehand that might influence your opinion. But although I've told you I think the cliffhanger is shit, but again, I might change my mind. I don't think it's true. I think it's more underwhelming than shit. But again, we'll see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to checking it out because it is a story from series 5 that I don't tend to revisit that often. Not because it's necessarily bad, but there are ones that I'd rather watch. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I can't remember much of it. I mean, even you reminded me of the mum, which is the terrible mum, and the memories came flooding back.
You cast it
yeah.
aside.
I think I like the design of the new Silurians.
I do as well, which makes us the only 2 people on Earth.
Oh, all right then. I didn't think that would be an unpopular opinion. But
I know classic fans can't stand them.
Oh, well,
I mean, they are very different.
I mean, yeah, they're more.
Fans can't stand
them. Yeah, they're definitely more.
It's the biggest, I think,
human facing, aren't they?
To new series like change out of any of them. Sure,
yeah,
I can understand it, but I don't mind them.
No, I think for me, when I first watched this, I hadn't seen the Silurians before. I hadn't watched their episodes, so fine. They look great. It's probably easier to have this as makeup. It's probably you don't have to keep a big bulky suit somewhere. You can just do the makeup and then go with it rather than having it.
I do think. Is it in the first appearance that I mentioned? Like, there's another tribe that's going to sleep for like 50 years or something.
Right.
I think they mentioned that in that story, and this is set 50 years after that in terms of the years. So it might just be a different tribe that looks different, It's a different design. But it does not matter because those masks would not have translated well to times.
No, definitely not. But yeah, I think I'm excited to see how they go. Excited to see sort of how much of the Zygon Day of the Doctor plot is in this as well. Because I think
you can see why they don't bring those kind of villains back that often.
Yes, because I think Silurian Zygons and Sea Devils all have the same. We'll talk more about it next week, but they all have the same issue of we want Earth. You can't have Earth, but you can share it. And then they either go, okay, let's figure out how to share it, or they go, no, which
Brigadier, kill them all.
And then, yeah. Well, no, he doesn't say kill them all. He doesn't want them to die. But then they kill it. Oopsie. But yes, we will see how it goes. That'll be the Hungry Earth next week, which should be here unless we run out of time to record because Liam is away next weekend. But I'm sure we can fit it in somewhere. So if there isn't one next week, you know why. But
it's my fault.
We'll manage it. It's completely Liam's fault, literally.
Yeah. But we wouldn't be leaving you in between the cliffhangers. So.
No, which is that's the main.
Which is a kindness. You're welcome.
Yeah, exactly.
You are welcome. Maybe not doing it.
Yeah, you are welcome. But that probably will mean that if any Doctor Who news breaks, we might not be able to cover it, but we will see. Who knows what will break?
Matt Smith might be coming back, and I'm going to be.
You never know.
If that's how it manifests, fine.
Yeah, always happens. If one of us is away, something will happen.
Yeah, or if I'm asleep, something will happen.
Yeah.
More likely, if I'm asleep, something will happen.
Yeah, so at least 8 hours a day, there's a chance something could happen.
I've slept through Russell's return and Shooty's announcement as the Doctor, so what will be next? Who knows?
Who knows? Matt Smith. K9, I think, is the latest rumour. So who knows? Maybe.
Oh, I liked that little joke from the Dream Lord as well, about like the little robot
purple dog. Yeah, that's nice. Intergalactic wag. I was like, oh, all right then.
Savage.
But yes, that is it for this week. We will see you hopefully next week. Goodbye.
Bye.